1212, I go by the name of DJ What, and you're now listening to the original Jeek podcast. Let's go!
Ready to make an entrance, so backward cut. Come on, cut for me.
Oh yeah. Whoa, slow down. Whoa, speed up.
Fresh.
Yeah, making me itch.
Welcome back, ladies, gentlemen, Jeeks of all ages. I am your host, ROCKINMRMAGIC, and he is
UNIQDNA.
And this is the original Jeek podcast. UNIQDNA, my man, what's up? What's up?
What's up, bro? 2 days in a row. I feel like
Shh, we ain't supposed to let them know. Shh. This is not getting released till like next week.
Okay. Well, we'll keep that out. We'll keep that under wraps.
It's good. Hey, y'all, sometimes we have to record back to back. Sometimes we may have to record same day. But hey, if it's dope, it's dope.
So
UNIQDNA, we shared recently as far as what we're playing. So I'm going to ask you sort of our general, what are you playing? What are you looking forward to be playing that's going to be coming out in the near future?
Let's see. You know what I really want to get, but I probably can't even use it. The new Microsoft Flight Simulator. It looks so dope.
Why wouldn't you be able to use it though?
Because I don't know if you heard around the PC gaming community.
I'm not that special yet. Sorry, no.
It's borderline on the new crisis. They're talking about it's the new crisis as far as you need like a mainframe supercomputer.
Oh no!
So
let's slave those drives and.
Yeah, so like it's all over YouTube. If you look at any YouTube gamer that's like into flight sim and stuff, they're all talking about it. But there's a couple there's a couple memes on what was it, IGN? I think put some stuff out, and a couple other people that like, yeah, it's the new crisis. So I'm like I don't know, my little 1660 Super and my 32 gigs of RAM is enough to run this.
All that power they're talking about, you might as well be flying a real plane.
Well, that's the crazy part. Like, if you look at, I've been watching the videos. It's insane. It's real world textures. You can literally download the Bing maps, the 3D maps into the game. It's 150 gigs. It's 150 gigs. Real. I can't talk today. Real world traffic. Real world weather.
Wait.
Yeah.
So they're copying traffic patterns, or they're just going to use previously? Like, why would you expose previous flight patterns? Like that doesn't sound safe.
Well, it's commercial, so I mean,
still though
they are anyway.
I wouldn't say that. You may know because that's an industry you've been in, but. The average Joe does not know about commercial flight patterns.
Well, if you're into flight sim, it's easy to access. It's not hard to get flight patterns. Because even for like when I was studying for my drone license, my pilot license, they tell you how to access you can access the flight patterns because you need to know. You need to know if you're throwing your drone into airspace, then call the problem. You also have to register your flight pattern if you're flying commercially. So you have to put in your flight plan, I should say. So it's really easy to access. It's on the FAA website. So it's not like it's
not like it's a state secret.
Yeah, like it's not like they're not putting Air Force One up there or anything like that.
No, we all know they're not disclosing that information for
but
various
like regular
reasons.
commercial ones, you can find that pretty easy.
Okay.
Simple Google search, you can find it. So it's nothing like detrimental to anybody. And actually, a lot of pilots in training, I've seen a few of them. They actually they were using the old flight simulator as
As a training. Oh, okay. So they were
That's
using
how-
that as a actual
that's
flight
how realistic
simulator.
it is.
Except for any crashing, obviously they get to walk away from.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the good part. So that's why they like using it, because it's like you can log, thousands of hours in there before you actually get in a real plane, and you at least have the awareness of where the controls are and different things like that,
Right.
And then depending on how set up your rig is, you can probably get some real haptic feedback and all that stuff too. So it's pretty crazy. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to, I don't know, maybe trying that. On the console side, Cyberpunk, of course, everybody's talking about that. Dying Light 2, which hopefully isn't delayed. Again, yeah. Trying to think what else. I mean, those are the top 3, I think, on my list right now.
Okay.
So
I can feel that. All right.
plus, PS5 if I actually can afford it.
Yeah. Yeah, for real. That is that's looking like generally, me, I don't get at launch, but that looks like not getting at launch is I'm dropping things. Looks like not getting at launch is going to be probably a guarantee, because that money thing, especially if the rumors are true and it's going to be 600 bones.
Yeah, because if it's 600,
and then we're dropping 70 for right
before I buy it.
And then we're dropping 70 for for a game instead of 60. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And I'm sure everybody else is doing right now. It's just NBA 2K, right? I'm sure everybody else is going to follow suit. Why not? Yeah. Well, I mean, unless you're just, I mean, you could be that guy, right? Like you could be the old ESPN. Like we're just going to undercut all the prices and sell more units,
Right.
Because everybody's going to buy it because they're like, oh, it's cheap.
Yeah.
But I doubt most studios aren't going to do that. So most studios are out to get every dime they can. That's why they do these half-finished games.
Yep. That's why they give us the bun and
I'm not
no
going
meat.
down that rabbit hole today.
Yeah, we're not going down that rabbit hole today. We'll talk for forever.
What about you?
on that.
What you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to Miles Morales, Spider-Man. I'm looking forward to that.
You know what? I forgot about that.
How would you forget about that?
Because I don't know.
Come on.
Because I'm not getting my hopes up about the PS5. So I'm like,
That's half my hope for the PS5 to begin with. I'm trying to get that Spider-Man, man. I'm very excited for that. There's not, obviously they haven't announced a whole lot that's coming out on PS5, so but I'm hoping for that. And then I forget the game all the time, even though we've talked about it on the show. But it's that time rewind assassin game. It's gonna drive me nuts, and I'll probably look at the old show notes.
oh, we were watching it. Yeah.
Yeah, we've
What
talked
was that
about it.
called?
I forget.
I forgot to.
It's sad, but I forget. But anyway, I'm excited for that. That one was cool, and that's pretty much it. Like those are the only ones that I know that I really want to play. Obviously, there are other games that I have a vested interest in, but I can't say that I'm like, hey, I'm really eager. I'm really looking forward to copping this game, for XYZ reason.
Right.
The Avengers, like I said, I played the beta for that, 2-3 day time frame. Had fun with that. I really liked that. That was a good time. Trying to think. Far Cry 6 looks cool, but I've never played any of the Far Cries, so I doubt I'm going to just...
I tried. I think it was Far Cry 3, but I just did. I don't know. I couldn't get into it. I don't know what it was about. I don't know what about it. It's just like I couldn't get into it. About.
I can't even say that. I can't even say I gave it a fair shake. Like I don't know. I'm just like, the premises of all the games sound interesting. I'm always like, hey, that sounds like it'll be cool. I might enjoy that. But for some odd reason, it's never been a game of priority. Like, hey, I'll cop this. Even though the sales have happened, and I'm like, that's not a bad price either. But it's like, but I'm also, me, I'm also a person who likes to have games that I know, or at least I have a really good inkling that I'm going to get replay out of. So.
Yeah, I mean, when I played it, it was at the time I had the GameFly subscription.
Okay.
So I was just like, you just throw stuff up there like, try this, why not?
Right.
You just,
I mean, you don't like it, you just send it right back. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I had it for like 2 days, and I was like, yeah, I'm not feeling this. I get something else. Just sent it back. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll give it another try because I mean, it made this 6 games. It's got to have some kind of.
I mean, there's got to be doing something correct to make the money to keep making games.
Yeah.
So something's got to be there. I just don't know what. At least for me, the draw isn't there. At least not enough of a draw. But that's what I'm looking forward to. I don't have the same excitement for Cyberpunk. It looks cool, it sounds cool, but I'm also not one of the people who's been like, holding on for years and years and years, waiting with eager anticipation for Cyberpunk. So it's interesting, but I'm not like, I can't wait to cop that Cyberpunk. Right. That's not behind me. So, yeah, but Spider-Man's really what the thing I'm looking forward to the most. And I'm looking forward to just kind of learning more about what else is going to be coming out. I really that's the mystique of the unknown is the other part that's really keeping my interest as far as what's coming out to play.
Yeah, Cyberpunk. I didn't even know about it until this year, and I saw it. I was like, oh, looks pretty dope. I'd play it.
Yeah, I honestly didn't know about it until the Xbox event last year when Keanu Reeves came out and talked about it. That's when I found out about it.
Yeah, but before that, I had no idea. Like people.
Well, I knew about the board game, like the card game or whatever it originally was.
I didn't even know about that.
I knew about that because I had heard the story about like how it had been like, this little unknown game, and then it got popular, and now they're making this video game. So I had heard about it, but I didn't like. I thought it was a pipe dream. Like I never thought it was actually going to happen. And then I was like, oh, they're actually doing this. Like, oh, and they put Keanu Reeves in this game. Like, oh, okay, this is a real thing. All right. I thought it was just like a feel good, what if, story that feel good story that could be really something big. And I'm like, okay, well, it's clearly something big.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it turned out pretty dope though. Like from what I've seen so far. So. I give it a shot. It looks dope. It looks like my kind of game.
It definitely does.
Yeah, it reminds me of like a mix of like Watch Dogs and Infamous.
Yeah, it's got that kind of vibe, and it definitely seems to be the type of game you would really dig.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, I like those games.
Oh yeah.
Which reminds me, I feel like
we need to play
Infamous
some
2 again. Yeah, I got Infamous 2 somewhere over there. I think it's in the drawer over there.
Okay. I actually haven't played Infamous 2 Second Son at all, and I have it in my library. I haven't played it. So
I liked it. I like the first one better, to be honest.
First one was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Second one, it felt like they tried to do a little bit too much.
They went too extra.
Yeah, like just they wanted to, they incorporated all these different things. But overall, it was pretty cool. It's still pretty cool. It's a fun game. Nice little, button masher, beat 'em up kind of thing.
Those are always good.
Yeah, the ones you just want. You don't have to think much. You just just play.
Pick up the sticks and rock out.
Yeah. So
that's what's up.
But so moving on.
Moving on. Okay, we gonna move on. What is wrong? Well, I hate that. Okay, Hold on. Let's
you're in the
try
wrong sound bank.
Let's try to move on again. All right, that's a lot better. So, into our quick hit topics here of this episode. Netflix has officially announced that it is adapting Capcom's Resident Evil video game franchise into a live-action series. Supernatural's Andrew Dabb will serve as the showrunner, executive producer, and writer. Now, I mean, I can't say I'm excited. I'm not excited. I'm conflicted because I'm not a fan of Supernatural. So I don't know where. Yeah, I could not get into Supernatural. You know, most black folk we don't play with the devil like that.
That's true.
Like I watched first 4 or 5 episodes ish, and I'm like, nah, this is not ain't for me. I'm not.
You did better than me. I watched 0.
Well, I saw. What's her name? Adrienne Paladecki, whatever. Superfly, super tall chick from Friday Night Lights, who did that very terrible pilot of Wonder Woman. And I was like, oh, she's in this. Okay, cool. But she was like a guest spot. I was like, okay, let me check it out. And I gave it a shot. Yeah. But I was like, nah, this ain't for me. Nah, I tried. I'm pretty sure the max I got was like 6 episodes. It was probably closer to 4 or 5.
Yeah, I didn't even try. Our mutual friend, Angel, and her husband, Country.
Yes.
Country. They love it. That's why I was like, oh, okay. Like they are like, that's their show.
Hey, I know
it was their
show.
You know,
I know a lot of people who love it. Like, shout out to my homegirl Mila Cameron. She loves some Supernatural. My wife loves Supernatural. There's a lot of people that dig it. I don't know. It's not for me.
Yeah, I just couldn't get into it. I think I seen like maybe 60 seconds of it. Like, you know, you flipping through channels or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I vaguely remember them mentioning something about angels and demons and stuff. And I was like, is this like some weird like Buffy remake kind of thing or something? Because I don't know, it gave me that vibe. And,
it gave me that kind of vibe too, which is another reason why I didn't dig it, because I didn't dig the Buffy show either. Like, I dug Buffy the Vampire Slayer the movie. That was fun. It was campy. I enjoyed that, but the show I didn't dig, and it definitely gave me it gave me a vibe of that, because I probably watched the same amount of episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I'm like, yeah, this ain't for me.
See, Buffy I liked, but also I was a different age demographic than you were, so.
I was the target age demographic for Buffy when it came out. I mean, that was still the 90s. Like, I was.
Yeah. I don't know why I liked it so much.
Was it the young ladies? I don't know. I mean, because they were at that cast, they were at their peak. You know, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Allison Hannigan, coming off of the American Pie. Like, they were at the top of their game.
I mean, I'm sure that was part of it. You know, I think I was in middle school.
Yeah, you would have been in middle school, because that came out in 97, 98-ish. So
yeah, so
I was in high school.
I'm sure that was part of it. But yeah, I don't know. I liked it. But yeah, the Supernatural, I was just like, yeah, this looks boring. And I just went on to the next thing. And like, they've been trying to get me to watch it for a while, and I'm just like, nah. Because, you know, like, especially now, you know, Christian and all that, minister and everything, I'm just like, yeah, seems very sacrilegious. And I'm not super conservative. We already know that.
Yeah.
But I was just like, yeah, I got to draw the line somewhere, and this seems like a good place to draw the line.
Yeah, hey, trust me, I know. Like, there's, you know, people talk about other shows that are within that vein. You know, Preacher, Lucifer, and I'm like, people are like, you watch Lucifer? I'm like, no, man. Like you're writing a show where the devil is the hero, he's the main person. Like, nah, man, that ain't for me. And it's a lot of people are like, oh, the cast is great, and I'm like, cool, talented people. There's people in the show that I like. Six is in the show, and one of the brother from that got killed in Romeo Must Die, and I forget his name. I like him. He's good. Even Supernatural's had a lot of talented people in it. Dude, Jeffrey Dean Morgan played the two guys played their father in it, and I forget his real name. I should know it because he's in like every sci-fi show. Little Scottish dude. He played Roman Lampkin in BSG, and he's in everything. I forget his name.
I'm terrible with names.
But he was, he was in Firefly. He was in BSG. I think he had appearances in some of the Star Trek series. Like he appeared in Warehouse 13. I think he appeared in. Pretty sure he appeared in Eureka. Like he's been everywhere. So he's in that too. Like there's a lot of talented people. But I'm like, well, hey. I don't vibe the show. I've seen some of Lucifer because my son was watching it when I was in the basement, and I was doing something, and I was like, nah, it's not for me.
Yeah, that one it was just the name alone. I was like, pass.
Yeah, pass on that one.
I will say I did watch Summer Preacher. I watched I think I might have actually finished the whole first season.
Okay.
But it was hard to watch, to be honest. Everything was good. Like the direction and from the production level. Yeah, as a videographer, photographer, all that stuff, I was like, yo, this looks amazing. But yeah, just the content, I was like, I don't know about this. This just seems weird. And then the whole premise of the story, spoiler alert, is God left and just decided he's done. Yeah. He just walked off.
God threw his hands up. I'm tired of these people.
Yeah, he's just I'm done with these people. And so then this guy who was a former preacher and all this stuff, somehow he gets mixed up. I can't remember how, but somehow he gets mixed up in all this trying to find God.
Yeah. Because I've read a couple issues of the from the comics, so I understood the premise, but just not for me.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't know if I can continue watching this. It just did something to me. But like I said, the art direction and everything was amazing. Even the writing was good. It just was. It was just
a little too far off for you.
Yeah, a little too loose for me. I was like, this is something that I can't condone watching. Yeah,
you can't vibe with that. So Andrew dabbing and doesn't really give me change my feelings anyway about it. But
it only changes my feelings because of his reputation.
Yeah, his reputation and success. A lot of people like his stuff, so
So it makes me think it'll probably be pretty good.
It probably will be.
I mean, if so many people love this, love the show.
We hope
then that means
there's a good reason for it.
Hopefully, he's a good showrunner, and writer. So,
what I like about this show though is the premise is so different. So this series is going to span two different timelines. The first being Jade and Billy Wesker. So obviously they are related to Albert. They moved after they moved to Raccoon City. And the second timeline jumps a decade into the future as there are now only 15 million people left on Earth.
I like that. Yeah, I think it's going to be... I like it. I like it because it doesn't necessarily have to stick to the game,
Well, they showed that with the movies. The movies didn't stick to the game at all.
Right.
So, I mean...
Yeah, but I mean, it's introducing a whole new story.
Yeah,
that actually seems to gel more with the game though then the movies were just way off. They were just like
they were just something else. Yeah,
it's like, wait, this isn't. I mean, this is Resident Evil in name only.
Yes, I mean that's truly what it was. It was Resident Evil in name only, and they were like, okay, let's throw a character from the from the game in here and there, so that the fans are like, hey, there's Wesker and whatever.
Right, but this one seems like it's keeping more in line with
at least the story is closer tied to it. Yeah. Because like from what the rest of the article I saw stated that Andrew Dabb himself stated that Resident Evil is his favorite game of all time. So that's pretty cool. So he's definitely sounds like he's gonna be really passionate about bringing a really dope story. And then so this show's supposed to be have 8 1-hour episodes. And it looks like he's got some people from Brown Hughes, who director, executive producer on The Walking Dead, will direct and executive produce the first 2 episodes. Constantine Film is going to be producer and the studio. So, and then Dabb says, for every type of Resident Evil fan, those joining for the first time, this series will be complete with a lot of old friends and some things, bloodthirsty and insane things, people have never seen before.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'm with it.
And it looks like from what the description is, I'm guessing that the Wesker girls, because it says they're 14-year-old sisters, may be Albert's daughters. Let me see here. Yeah, okay, so second timeline, well over a decade in the future, less than 15 million people on Earth, and more than 6 billion monsters, people and animals are affected with the T virus. Jade, which is Jade and Billy Wesker, the 2 sisters. Jade Wesker, now 30, struggles to survive in this new world, while the secrets from her past about her sister, her father, I'm assuming Albert, and herself continue to haunt her.
Yeah, it looks like that because it says first part of the timeline. The more time they spend in the city, the more they come to realize the town is more than it seems, and their father may be concealing dark secrets that can destroy the world.
Yeah, so I can't imagine Albert Wesker as a family man, though.
I know that's so weird.
Yeah, this just sounds that just sounds really off. Weird. Like Albert Wesker, family man, daughters, what? That just don't sound right to me. 2 daughters at that is like,
I'm listening twins.
Yeah, well, I hopefully, because I can't imagine that dude convincing a woman to stay around long enough to have kids twice. Like,
Yeah, that's true too.
he's just not that dude.
Yeah.
Like, that's something else. Well, going through that, I mean, that's exciting. So, that premise sounds really cool. I really can't wait to see a trailer for this whenever it happens. Like, I didn't see any dates as far as when it could come out. So as far as timeline wise, not sure when this would be coming. I'm guessing this show would probably come out in like 2022. Just as how slow everything is production wise nowadays. So many of the projects probably got either pushed back and things got postponed that need to be worked on. So probably not going to see this one come out for a while, but it is exciting to hear, just exciting to learn, because this is something that I feel better about this now than I did when I first heard the news.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it looks cool. Like I can dig it.
Most definitely I can too.
Especially from what everybody's been saying about Supernatural.
I mean, the show went 14 seasons, obviously it had some success.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm with it.
Cool. Okay.
See how it goes.
All right. So moving on, we have, we often talk about, kicks and fits here, and we're returning to the shoe game. Last time, KSWISS came up in discussion, we were talking about Batman kicks. Well, tonight, not tonight, but tonight we're talking about KSWISS's Harry Potter collection. Have you seen these?
I have seen them.
Okay.
I mean, well,
What do you think?
let's start with you this time. I always
Let's start with me.
Start with you. Cop or drop.
Well, for me, it's always drop because they don't make my size, so I'm not in the equation.
Size is aside.
If they made my size, I would definitely cop a couple of these, especially when KSWISS are. Well, last time I wore them, they were still comfortable shoes, and I dig. I'm digging what I saw looking at the collection. So, being a Slytherin, I would obviously cop the Slytherin ones. I was looking at them like, yo, I would rock these. And I don't have much green to wear, but I would definitely rock these. And both Slytherin ones. So there's the mainly black Slytherin ones, and then there's the Harry Potter X KSWISS Gestad 86, which I actually like more because it's got more of the green in it. I would definitely rock the Ravenclaw blue ones. Those are dope. The Gryffindor ones are just kind of, they're all right. But I think the best ones are the 86 Slytherins. I think the second best ones that I would definitely cop are the Ravenclaws. And the Hufflepuff ones, they got that, crisp off white. Those are cool too. I would rock those. They got some other ones. The other Hufflepuff ones I think are kind of ugly. This yellow CR Terati, those look kind of ratty to me. I'm not feeling those, but those three definitely. If I could, they'd be on my feet. I'm feeling them.
Yeah, I mean, I like. I'm Ravenclaw, so of course those are dope. What I wish I saw, I don't see them in the banner picture. Those Ravenclaws look dope, but I don't see them anywhere.
Yeah, I didn't see those either because those look cool too. Yeah,
those look way better than the ones that they got for sale. But they're nice classic blue.
Well, the problem with the ones they have available right now is that, and that's one thing KSWISS has always had a problem with, my opinion, is that they're two extra stripes. Like so many of their designs look like extra Adidas, and so they kind of suffer, in my opinion, because of that.
Yeah,
because they look like Adidas with two extra stripes.
To those other Ravenclaws because they got a little more personality to them.
Yeah, and they don't look like somebody else's personality.
Yeah, they don't look like just regular. Like all of these, with the exception of the Teratis, look like KSWISS with a Ravenclaw logo or a.
Yeah, but they're regular KSWISS with the houses on them. Yeah. Except the Gestads kind of do too, but it's a little bit more prominent, and they got a little bit more going on, which is why I like them because the Teratis are a little.
The soul.
Yeah, exactly. The soul's different. It's got a little bit more color. It's got a little bit of the brown on the back there, and it's not too funky looking like the Teratis look to me. So it's kind of in the middle.
Because the Teratis remind me a little bit of like Hirachis.
Yeah, they give me a Trunner feel. They look like cross trainers a bit to me.
So like that, like with the right fit, they'd be pretty dope. I would rock them.
See, it's that yellow and brown together that I'm not feeling.
Yeah, I wish they would have did it in a different color. Like they should have did it in like a Gryffindor or a Slytherin,
or even if they just kept kept this yellow and black for Hufflepuffs, like that'd have been cool. Like I'm not.
The brown out.
Yeah, just take the brown out. You could just replace some of those brown spots with extra black and extra yellow.
That'd have been overall. I would cop them. I'd cop pretty much any of them, but I mean now seeing those I guess those are like some form of Teratis too. The Ravenclaw joints, I wonder if StockX got them.
I looked on StockX, I didn't see it. I looked, especially because like during most of these are all sold out, so it's like obviously people scooped them up.
The Ravenclaws, they only ones that got is a size 10 for men. And like I could definitely not fit a size 10.
Nah, you'd have to jump in the Wayback Machine to do all that.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, most of them I'm feeling. I'm cool with. I'm cool about half of them. because if I should just filter out women's because that doesn't obviously apply.
Yeah, I just went straight to the men's, but
yeah, I mean,
and they're reasonable.
Oh yeah, they're reasonably
priced.
always reasonably priced.
$75.
Yeah, and honestly, like even though, like, so like the classic 2000 Gryffindors, those are all right too. Like they keep on throwing brown in where brown don't need to be. Like the brown that doesn't need to be brown. Like those stripes that are connected to the laces, those could be black, which fits better with Gryffindor because there's black in their cloaks and all that stuff. Those could be black, and I would rock those. But just the brown just is. I don't get why they're throwing so much brown in these, where these houses ain't rocking brown like that.
Yeah,
I don't
know. Weird. It is definitely a weird design choice for that one, but
yeah. And the Ravenclaws, they should just be blue and gray. Like, I don't need brown in that either. Like, this what I don't.
I mean, I think the brown fits. It's subtle. It's not as in your face as the other ones.
It's a lot better, yes, but still, though, I just.
Like I would
imagine.
I mean, I don't know what the need for it is, other than you just want to throw some leather in there, and you don't want to tan it any other color than brown. But
right,
that's if it's even real leather. But
well, we're hoping it's real leather. But to me, like if I was designing these, I would be looking at the kids in the movies and saying, okay, could you just throw these shoes on the kids in the movies and it fits their fit?
Like,
Like, does it blend?
What are the things that they wear? The shawls, capes, whatever.
Yeah, with their capes and stuff, their uniform. Yeah. If it would blend in with that, then I'd be like, okay, cool, that works. And none of them they don't be rocking brown like that. It's just
yeah, it's weird.
It's different.
Definitely weird, but I still cop them. Why not?
And the box actually looks pretty fire too. Like,
yeah, it's a nice little like collector's box.
Yeah. The box is cool. So I wonder what the group. I think we'll put this in the group. We'll ask the group if they would rock these Harry Potter KSWISS. We have a couple of sneakerheads in the group. I'm really interested on what y'all think about these, especially the heavy use of brown, where I personally think it's not needed. Let us know what y'all think. Harry Potter KSWISS edition. We're both cool. I'm cool with a couple. 3 of the designs, really. UNIQDNA apparently would wear them all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see anything that I wouldn't wear. I probably wear them all.
Yeah, see, I'm not wearing them all. Those Taratis, no, I'm not. I would not wear those.
See, but
that's a hard no.
I always like different.
But you like Yeezys too, and I don't like those designs at all.
I'm not. Well, which ones are you talking about?
All of them.
I don't like.
I think they're all ugly. I think the whole base Yeezy is just an ugly shoe, and has nothing to do personally with Yeezys.
I actually don't like the Adidas Yeezys at all. Now the Nike Yeezys, those are fire.
That's a different. I'm talking Adidas. That's the Nike.
No,
the Nike
I don't like
was
any Adidas Yeezys.
Okay,
never.
Yeah, because they ugly.
Never liked the Adidas Yeezys.
They just ugly.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some dudes pull them off. Like, I got a couple of friends that are sneakerheads, and I've seen them pull it off, and I'm like, looking at it with the fit that they got on, I'm like, oh, that actually looks kind of
They
dope,
look
but
like space house shoes. Is exactly what they look like.
Wear them. It's one of those things. It's like Hirachis. Like I don't like Hirachis either.
I like Hirachis. I don't look good in Hirachis.
Yeah, like I've seen people like rock them, and I'm like, oh, those look fire. But for some reason, I can't bring myself to buy them.
I just can't pull them off.
Thought about buying them, I'm just like, nah, pass. I don't know what it is about them. I think it's that heel. The heel is just so.
The heel's weird, yeah. And it makes me look really weird if I would have them. I can't. For you, especially for me, yeah. Because the bigger it is, the more prominent. The bigger the shoe, the more prominent it is, and then the design. I don't want to call them flaws, but the design quirks, for lack of a better term, really get accentuated. So that's why I have to pick shoes I like, but also don't look crazy goofy when I'm wearing them because it's so big. So that's why 11s are great for me. That's why the 12s were great for me. The 13s were great for me, and Jordans. That's why the Air Tempos. Oh, yeah. I had the Air Max. I didn't have the full line bubble, but that looked cool because the Air was so big and so prominent. Like you could clearly read that my shoe said Air when I was on the court, compared to cats wearing a size 10 where it was like where it kind of looked like squiggles.
Like smushed them. Yeah.
Right. You can see my shoe clearly says Air. So like stuff like that is really cool because it stands out. But when it's something like the Hirachis, they really look like the things that the quirks that make them look odd really get accentuated then. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one I can't rock, but I would rock these.
These all look like except for the the Taratis, these all look like pretty chill shoes. Like they don't. Yeah. These are casual wear type kicks.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going on to another section of the show. So let's. Yeah, somebody's going a little too fast. Gonna have to slow down. We're gonna pull
over. We need like some flashing lights on this.
We gotta get some flashing lights. Yeah, because we gotta be pulling over. That's right. The Reboot Police are here, and we are locked and loaded because we got a loaded car to pull over. It looks like we got 2 suspects in this car, and we're gonna talk to the driver first. This first driver we're gonna talk to is someone you've given passes on before, but I think I'm going to issue a ticket tonight. The CW. The CW, Teenage Angst and All, is exploring creating a live action Powerpuff Girls show.
Yeah. Okay. So I've seen this. And I honestly don't know how this is. I don't know how they're going to pull this off. Like, I don't. Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. First of all,
nobody's asking for this. Nobody is asking. I've never heard anybody say, "Hey, it'd be a good idea. Let's put the Powerpuff
Girls live action."
Nobody wants to see this. We already have the original. We had the animated reboot that a lot of people were not digging. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't bad, but it didn't have the same vibe as the original. Some people didn't like that that it changed with the times. It got pretty political in some aspects. But the first one did that too. They just when they were young, they didn't see the politics in the original. So, that was not that big of a deal. But unfortunately, it wasn't as good as the original.
Yeah. But what really gets me with this one is, they're going to be 20 something and disillusioned.
Well, I didn't even want to look that deep into it because I'm like, because me and my relationship with the CW, it's not good. I'm not a fan of what they have done with so many series.
We've upgraded her with a sonic shield.
It's impressive. There is one more.
It's just to me. I'm pulling up the article here. Of course, Comic Book TV had an ad place in my ear. I don't even know. I hope you didn't have to hear that ad playing in my ear.
I heard it.
You heard it? Yeah. Thanks, comicbook.com. That's okay. We'll still read you. But, no, I don't like what I'm reading here. I don't, no, man, I'm not feeling it.
Yeah.
I'm just disillusioned 20-something who regret spending their youth fighting criminals. So what are they going to do? Is it going to go? I'm not even going to speculate. This is just, nah, man. Nah.
Yeah.
Nah,
so that's when I first heard about it, I was like, huh. I was trying to picture it, and I'm like, okay, you're gonna have these like, I guess 8 to 10-year-olds pretending to be superhero kind of thing, live action. Obviously, probably a lot of CGI.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, and then I saw, oh, it's the CW, and I was like, CW doesn't do like kiddie stuff like that. It's always like you said, it's always like the
if they can't fill the teenage angst and 20-something, crazy sex and all that, they don't want to do it.
So I was like, CW. So then I started digging a little deeper, and then I was like, what? They're not even going to be, technically, they're not even going to be the Powerpuff Girls as far as I'm concerned.
No, they would be Powerpuff Women.
Yeah. And then I'm just like, so I kind of already see like how this is going to go. It's going to be a cookie cutter CW script, right? Like, okay,
so I'm going to predict how this is going to go. So the brainchild behind this, so they're going to say, all right, let's do some different things with the Powerpuff Girls. So they're going to make Buttercup become this reserved like geek. So she's going to have glasses, and she's going to be kind of reserved and be like the level-headed one, because that's completely contrast to what she was in the show. Bubbles is going to be the whore. They always have a whore. She's going to be the whore. She's going to be messing around with somebody. Blossom's going to be probably the closest to what she was as a child, and probably the primary disillusion will come from her, since she was the leader, and she will just be like so confused and like, I wasted my life and my sister's lives, and now look, one's a whore, one's reserved and doesn't talk to anybody. And then they'll probably have the new one they introduced, Bliss, and they'll be like, and somehow we have this other sister, and she's just she's a wild cannon, she's a loose cannon, she's all over the place, and I can't keep her in control. She keeps getting in trouble. She's in Supergirl juvie right now, or she's in jail right now because of whatever. She's the bad girl, and they're going to just do a CW version of The Facts of Life with superpowers, and it's going to be a hot mess.
So I don't think they're going to talk to each other. I think they're not going to like each other. I think they're gonna be disconnected, disenfranchised. They're gonna be like, we don't want anything to do with our sisters. I don't want nothing to do with you.
Well, of course they'll be disconnected, because Bubbles will be out dating Mojo Jojo or something.
I think they're gonna hate each other, and especially Blossom. They're gonna hate her because she was the leader, and she was kind of the let's go do it. And I think they're going to spend the whole first season with them just talking about how they regret their entire childhood. They may or may not show Utonium.
They probably killed him. They killed him. They killed Professor Utonium. He's dead. They probably killed the teacher too. They went back and we're going to kill our kindergarten teacher. She's dead. And the mayor's dead, and Cerebellum's dead, and I'm telling you, Blossom is dating Mojo Jojo, and Bubbles. I'm sorry, Bubbles is dating Mojo Jojo. Blossom is probably she's probably dating. Actually, no, I'm sorry, no. Blossom's dating Mojo Jojo. Bubbles is dating all of the Green Gang, and then Buttercup is either going to be she'll be the LGBTQ character. And then
I was thinking that too.
And then if they have Bliss in it at all, she's going to be he's probably just going to not like have any type of romantic relationship. She's probably going to be like, she's above that or something like that.
I'm not. I usually give CW a pass. I usually like the stuff that they put out. Like I like the Flash, I like the Arrow. For the most part, it wasn't my favorite of all the series, but they put out some pretty decent shows if you just want to kind of just sit back and veg out on TV. But yeah, I'm not excited for this one at all. I have no interest in this at all.
getting fined, CW. We're going to see y'all in court.
Yeah.
This is a moving violation. This is speeding. This is no one asked for this.
I'm throwing the book at him.
Cool.
I think I'm throwing the book at him on this one.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm 100% with you on that. This is just hot garbage. Okay. So let's talk to the second one in this car. We've got someone else to look at, and that is Amazon Studios is riding in this car with the CW. They have announced that they are officially rebooting the 1992 sports comedy movie A League of Their Own as a television series.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that? Don't sound so exasperated.
Oh man, like I just no, like why I see no need for it other than they want to push their political agenda, sort of like another problem child that we talked about recently that I'm not going to bring up again.
Yeah.
Like, because that's what they're gonna do. They're just gonna, same thing. They're gonna have more black characters, and they're gonna have more LGBTQ XYZ characters, and they're gonna have,
which is, it doesn't make any. It makes zero sense. I mean, there can't be any black characters because there weren't any black female players. I mean, this was 1943. Like this was a segregated league. Like, and part of the cool thing about A League of Their Own was that it was based off of a historical thing. Like this was a real baseball league. And it only, unfortunately only lasted for I think one season, but it was a real league, real professional softball players. It's been fondly remembered for 80, almost 80 years now. Like it's just something that that was pretty cool. Like I don't understand why people will want to rewrite and just say, hey, we got to add some black people to it if we're going to do it. Well, you don't, because that's, unless you're just basing it on some other universe, because that wasn't reality. Like this,
okay, check this out. Here you go. This sentence says it all.
Okay.
The show takes a deeper look at race and sexuality, following the journey of a whole new ensemble of characters as they carve their own paths towards the field, both in the league and outside of it.
Oh, yeah, so we're just making up baseball stories and throwing in. Okay, so this is the L word. The L word going back in time and changing history, because if you want to have a show, if you want to have a sports show about women, their sexuality, race, etc., why would you go back in time to a time frame in American history where that wasn't what was going on? Make a sports show set now, set in the future, whenever. Even if it's set in the past, you'll obviously don't reference a real thing. Like that makes zero sense. It's like, hey, we're going to do this show, and what we're going to do is use the name A League of Their Own to try to bring viewers in to watch, and hopefully that they see it and like it and stay interested. Because none of what they're doing is A League of Their Own. I mean, the women in the league, they had to take charm classes and stuff because they wanted them to act a certain level of ladylike and all this stuff. Like they're not going to have anything that's even close to what really happened. In the AASL or something like that.
I think they changed the name a couple of times. So.
One of them. It was All American Girls Baseball League, Softball League, something like that. It was a really long acronym, but this is none of this is. This is just nuts. Like I don't. It's yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't understand why someone would.
Yeah. So
I mean,
they
okay,
already
so
cast a few.
it's the AAGPBL, and it ran from 1943 1954, and so that entire time the league existed. It existed during segregation.
Right.
Like it has a great legacy, but there's no need to change that legacy to try to tell a story that doesn't fit within the time frame.
It's a way to try and erase history in a sense. It's a way to take away it's like we talked about with I can't think of the name now. It was just on the tip of my tongue. Kevin Arnold.
Oh, the Wonder Years.
Wonder Years. Yeah, it's a way to just sort of erase history and say, well, we don't want to talk about what happened, and we don't even want to remind people about what happened. So we're going to tell the story so that kids can watch it and go tell their history teacher that that's not what happened because I saw A League of Their Own and that's not true. You guys just made that up in that other movie because you guys didn't want to have black actors at the time. Like that's I mean,
I don't even know what the. No, I don't even think it's. I really don't even think it's that sinister. I really think it's the fact that they want to use the popularity of that movie and just pigeonholing these stories into that movie where it doesn't fit. Where you could write a 2020 story about a women's baseball or women's softball league or women's soccer league or women's basketball league, any women's sports league that you can tell these stories about race and about sexuality, about friendship, about teamwork, about independence, whatever stories you want to tell. I mean, you're free to tell whatever stories you want, but it just doesn't make sense, to tie it to a historical time frame when you're not going to do anything that was true to that historical time frame. It's simply except
they're saying they want to take the beloved classic while widening the lens to tell the story of an entire generation of women, emphasis, who dreamed of playing professional baseball. So they're trying to, like I said, rewrite history and say, well, it wasn't just this league of women that wanted to play. It was all these women that wanted to play baseball, but you guys didn't want to show all that in the original movie. You wanted to leave all that out, the politics and the race and the sexuality and all that other stuff. And yeah, that's why I feel like they're just trying to rewrite history.
Oh, they're flat out saying it's a reinterpretation,
Yeah. Well, reinterpretation, rewrite. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna just give them a ticket.
I just, it's just, to me, it's like, it's just, this is just silly. Like, there's no need to make it a league of their own. This would make so much more sense, put into, a current time frame or future lens. It makes no sense to have it historically inaccurate. That doesn't make sense.
Throw the book at him. Tell it to the judge is what I say.
Yeah, because it's silly. I mean, because you can't even base it on anything. Like, and I know and it's not going to be, hey, we're going to show black women wishing they could play professional baseball. That's not what they're going to be showing, and not leave it at that. They got a picture of a black woman in uniform, so it's not like they're going to say, hey, they wish they could do this or whatever. Like, they're going to have them playing or whatever. Like, it's just, and I'm pretty sure that playing professional baseball was much lower on the priority scale for black women in 1943. So I'm sure some wanted to play, just like
sure there was.
But I'm pretty sure there's a lot lower on their priority scale during that time frame. This is at first. I mean, when I first heard the news, I was like, "Cool," because I thoroughly League of Their Own to me is one of the best. It was one of the top 10 baseball movies ever made. I think it was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it.
It's a great movie. It was historically accurate to a point, obviously. But they had the real names, the real teams. The Rockford Peaches, the Bells, the Grand Rapids Chicks, and etc. Tom Hanks obviously did a wonderful job. Gina Davis did a great job. The world was introduced to Biddy Schramm, who went on to play Sharona Fleming and Monk. Like, there was a very talented cast in this movie. Rosie O'Donnell, Madonna, it was a great film. So when I heard that they were going to do a show of it, I'm like, cool, maybe they're going to show, because League of Their Own focused on the inaugural season. So I'm thinking, cool, maybe they'll go through a series that's similar to the movie, in that they'll fictionalize, some storylines with using the real teams and such, and they'll go through probably the entire run of the league, and deal with obviously women's issues and et cetera, but obviously within that time frame, from 1943 to 1954. But obviously that's not what we're getting. We're getting a reimagination, and to me, if you're reimagining something, let's take our future rewatch in Battlestar Galactica. We're going to be watching the reimagination of Battlestar Galactica, which was perfectly fine, because Battlestar Galactica, the original, is not a historical event. Right. It's a story. It's pure fantasy. Right. So, you have the license to reimagine, because there's nothing that needs to be, told. The story doesn't need to be told in a certain aspect to carry a certain amount of relevancy. Right. But when you're basing things off of history, and it's not meant to be silly, like a Abraham Lincoln vampire hunter type thing, it's supposed to be based. It's supposed to be rooted in reality. Then you're going off the rails here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't care if they want to do an L Word, sports show. Cool, do it. Just don't make it historically irrelevant. That's just silly. I don't get that at all. You could base it in 2020. You could base it in 2030. It don't matter. You could even base it 10 years ago, but 1943. Yeah. That being said, we are moving on to our main topic of this episode, and that has been the whirlwind the past 24 hours in the world of sports. Not primarily, but the actions taken in lieu of the shooting in Kenosha of a black man. We're not going to get too much into the detail of what took place. We're focusing on the reaction by the sports world. We knew the WNBA and the NBA respectively were making very big and vocal stands on standing against police brutality, and we see the Black Lives Matter on the court as well, kneeling during the national anthem, warm-up T-shirts with Black Lives Matter, social messages on the backs of jerseys. We see equality. When is it enough? Not another one, etc., etc. So the NBA kind of let's say spurned on a response that swept through a lot of the sports world by boycotting their playoff games. The playoffs are happening in many sports right now. The NHL, and, the NBA, and this news flooded timelines yesterday. Just boom, 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 everywhere. We've got news of canceled games in response to what took place in Wisconsin. The NHL is even expected to have their games for today postponed. And yesterday, the WNBA, Major League Soccer, and Major League Baseball all boycotted or canceled games due to the actions of the players in protest to what has been taking place, unfortunately, yet again. However, less than 24 hours later, we learned that the NBA could resume their play in the playoffs as soon as Friday, August 27th. Now, it'll be past that date by the time you hear this episode. So, with all this whirlwind that's going on, UNIQDNA, what are your thoughts on the past 24 hours in the sports world's boycotts?
So much to say about this. So much to say. But I'll start with this first. When I first heard about it, I was I think I sat down to turn on the game or something. And I saw it and I was like, wait, they're not playing? Like, I was kind of, in shock. Mm-hmm. And then, then of course they came out and the announcers came out and, Sports Center and everybody just kind of like took over the airways and was just like, yeah. The Bucks didn't show up, because originally it was just like they just didn't show up.
Yeah, first was the Bucks didn't show up, right?
Yeah, nobody knew why. So they're like, they're just like, the game's been canceled due to them, and just like a no show. And then apparently, like, somebody called in because there was a tweet put out that was like, that they just no showed, and then apparently one of the players called in and was like, no, we're boycotting, and so you need to correct your post or whatever. And then that's when the whole like kind of whirlwind just kind of took off.
Right.
And people, I'm sure people might have seen like Kenny Jet just walked off the set.
Kenny Smith walked off the set.
In solidarity with the players. And then, WNBA was supposed to play, and then they came out for warm-ups, and then they decided they're not playing. And so, it was just a lot. And, both of us being black men in America, I felt a sense of pride a little bit. Mm-hmm. Actually, not even a little bit, a lot. Just because it was just like, for so long we don't see a lot of big name faces and people really standing up. Like, seeing, they have the press conferences, they have this, they have that, but you don't really see them taking a stand like you want, like something drastic like that, like hitting them. You always hear it. You hear it a lot in the black community, like, oh, you need to hit them where it hurts. You need to hit them in their pockets, right? But you don't see a lot of people doing that, especially not the ones who really can have that impact. Exactly. We can do it, right? But it takes a lot more work for me, you, and thousands of other people, citizens, normal everyday citizens, hardworking people, to come together and say like, no, we're not buying this or that or whatever. Right. But when an NBA team, or in this case, multiple NBA teams, and then multiple sports venues, take a stand like that, that's millions and millions of dollars just, out the window. Right. So I think it sent a great message. I think it's a great message to everybody, to the world, to the country, to say, like, no, we're not your entertainment. We have these conversations where we're like, well, we like you as long as you're entertaining us, but then when you're not entertaining us anymore, well, I don't like you. or I don't see your color when you're entertaining me. I don't see you as a black basketball player. You're just the best basketball player. I don't see you as whatever, the best football player, baseball player, whatever. Even though, as we know, African Americans dominate pretty much every sport.
With the exception of
probably hockey.
With the exception of exception of hockey, baseball. Baseball's different because
a lot of Dominicans and
because of the black folk that are dominating baseball. A lot of them are not from the United States, so
right.
But so to a point, yes. Hockey and NASCAR are the only things.
People of color, then that probably sum it up better.
I mean, it's called what it is. I mean, the black folk that are dominating, they're Afro Latinos. The most. Yeah. There's not many, especially United States born black folk that are doing much in baseball right now.
Right.
And there's a lot of different reasons around that, but mainly hockey, NASCAR are the two ones where you're not seeing many of us.
Right. But so, I mean, you just look at it, and it's crazy because all that happened, and I was like, wow, yeah, cool, that's dope. I support it, and I know people have different views on it. Some people think, even people in the group were like, well, I don't see the point in this. There's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't be playing. And I'm like, it sends a bigger message. Like, that's the point. It's not, whether you agree with it or not, it's sending a message.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I think there's a reason why they shouldn't play. I think it just sends a message to say, like, no, we're taking a stand. And then, I went to bed, woke up this morning, and like Move to China was trending on Twitter. I don't know if you heard about this.
No, I didn't purposely do it. I think subconsciously I stayed off of Twitter. I didn't open Twitter once today. I'm probably smart for not doing that, just because I'm sure it was extremely toxic.
Infuriated you, yeah.
Probably.
So apparently, I don't know who or how it sparked, but apparently someone said, well, if they don't want to play it, then they should just move to China.
That makes a whole lot of sense. Okay.
And apparently, and it just went on and on, it just went on and on, retweets and and all these different things. And so,
the usual toxic mess on Twitter.
Yeah. So I was just like, oh, wow. Like, this is what we're talking about. This, and people think we don't have a problem.
Yeah.
And, it was just, I mean, I'll spare you the details, but it was infuriating, to say the least.
Okay.
And so, I was just like, wow, okay. And then there was a poll that came out. The players took a poll, and I think it was like the Lakers and
Clippers.
Toronto. Oh, the Clippers. Yeah, the Lakers and the Clippers decided they weren't going to play, or they had taken a poll, and I guess the majority vote said that they didn't want to continue the season. And then by 11 o'clock,
I didn't believe that personally, but continue.
At first I believed it because I was like, wow, well, because of what happened, yesterday, I was like, okay, so this is real. Like they're doing this, and we know a lot of them didn't want to be in the bubble anyway. So, I mean, Kyrie said they should have not played to begin with. Right.
A lot of players didn't want to be in the bubble. A lot of players, and some players didn't even come to the bubble. Right. For various reasons. So, yeah.
So, because of all that, I took it, I took it at face value, and I was like, it's probably true. And then like LeBron's been very vocal about all of this. And so I was like, I could see him kind of, after all the protests on Wednesday and the cancellations of the games and all that, I could see him kind of being the driving force, at least for the Lakers anyway. And like, no, we're not playing. But yeah, and then like it was like by 11 o'clock, they were like, yeah, so we came to an agreement and we figured out alternative ways to encourage social justice or whatever. I forgot the words that they used, but basically they talk them all into playing again. And so the games for today will be postponed, and then they'll reconvene apparently tomorrow. And that part was disappointing because I was just like, whatever message you sent, whatever impact you had, you just lost it. That's my that's my personal opinion on it. Because I was just like, it just where's the 2 days of games postponed? There's really no impact. I mean, I know there was some financial losses and all that stuff, but I don't think it really sent the message that it would have sent if they just said, like, this is it, we're done, the season's over, you guys figure it out, get the owners out there to play, whatever they got to do to really send the message home, and then I think back to the 60s civil rights movement and stuff like that. It wasn't a 1 day boycott. It wasn't a
That's all I got to say to that, because
that
was my thoughts exactly. I agree everything you said 100%, and especially at the end. My biggest problem with this boycott is that it ain't a boycott. This was a temporary work stoppage. Let's keep it a buck. This is not a boycott. And the two biggest problems with this boycott for me, number one, it wasn't a real boycott. And number two, is not organized. If you're going to boycott something for a purpose, you're continuing this civil rights fight that we've been going through, for, since 1865, and you're going to do your part of that. And you, as a professional athlete, a person of influence, a person in the public eye, you have more of all people, you have not it's a responsibility, but it's not purely responsibility. You don't have the luxury of doing it the way the common man would do it. The common man is able to, go to a protest here and there, boycott, for a short amount of time and participate in other ways. If you're going to be in the public eye and your part of your boycott is not doing what your job is, you have to be organized, and it wasn't organized. I don't know why they would not, even if they didn't involve, a civil rights, group, NAACP or someone else, Rainbow Coalition, whatever. If they didn't, they probably could have helped them organize better. But even if they did it amongst themselves as a players union, they needed to be organized. They needed to have a players union meeting and say, hey, we're hearing rumors that a lot of y'all don't want to play. Y'all want to boycott. Let's talk. What's going on? It's not like they can't get together. They're all in the bubble, that's there. So, and they can jump on a Zoom if they don't want to all be in the same room for social distancing purposes. They can have the conversation, talk and say, hey, look, we're hearing this. Talk to your team captains or whatever. Talk to your player reps, and then the player reps get together and have the conversation. They say, these guys are saying, hey, they don't want to play. They want to support the movement, and they don't want to play. Okay, so what's the end game here? How long are we going to do it for? Because like you said, back in the 60s, there wasn't no 2-day boycott, wasn't no 24-hour boycott. When they boycotted those buses in Montgomery, it was for over a year. Nary a black person used the bus in over a year. That hurt Montgomery big time financially. So and also for the NBA players, what's the end game for them? Is the end game to get their owners to support the movement? Is it for them to get them to acknowledge it? What's the end game for them? I understand, and I applaud the effort, the thought, but it wasn't planned. It wasn't executed well at all. And unfortunately, that undermines their actions a bit, because it seems like it was just Now people will try to disparage it by calling it clout chasing or et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And because it was unfortunately done sloppily. And we couldn't afford in the 1800s, early 1900s, mid 1900s, and post to be sloppy with how we go about fighting for our civil rights. We cannot afford that. So if these NBA players really want to make a difference by I think the influence that they were having by playing with these social justice messages in the Black Lives Matter on the court, it was having a better impact than this boycott. This boycott just it had no lasting effect. If you're going to try to hit people in their pockets,
I mean,
you have to have it. You have to have it. Yeah, it wasn't even a week. You have to have an end game. And if you're not
24 hours,
exactly. And if you're not going to play, how is this going to impact the cause you want to have? It was clear with Montgomery, and continuing this example, what the impact of not taking the bus was going to have on that bus company, on the city of Montgomery, on businesses, and etc. And as well as there was that support system within the community to make sure that black folks still got to their jobs and such on time so they could continue to provide food for their families, provide food for the movement, provide food to the money to the NAACP, provide things and keep things moving as they would, except for with that caveat of not taking the bus anymore. So if they were going to boycott something, you just need to have an end game as far as what is it impacting. And they need to say that. They need to say, hey, we're going to boycott because we don't feel that the owners are allies, or if it was like just the Bucks. It made sense that the Bucks made the first thing because they play in Wisconsin, Right. So if it was like, if they said, hey, the Milwaukee Bucks, if I wouldn't say Giannis just because even though he's the best player in the team, I can be honest. I would just say because he's Greek. You probably wouldn't want to have a spokesperson be someone from the United States. But if Giannis or let's say Brogdon's not there anymore, let's say Eric Bledsoe or comes out and says, hey, has a speech and say the Milwaukee Bucks generate X amount of dollars for the city of Milwaukee. And that money, those dollars impact the state in this way, and it increases commerce for the restaurants and bars and parking and this, and we generate, and the play that we do generates extra air traffic and impacts these dollars. And until there is change in how black people are policed in this state, we're not going to play anymore.
Right. And
we are well aware that we won't be paid. We're aware of how it can impact the economy, but the lives of people, regardless of color, being shot in the back by police is not acceptable. It's not okay. It needs to change. And we pray and hope that you value the lives of others more than you value watching us play basketball. And that would be a boycott. And they just not play until some real legislation was changed within the state of Wisconsin. And that's why organizations is important, because for them, they would need to make sure they're organized and say, hey, how are we going to support each other during this time? Hey, maybe, they pool some money. Like, hey, Giannis, look, you making a whole lot more money than us. We can't live the same lifestyle, but we all going to need to live. Everyone throw X amount of dollars in here so that if someone needs some money, someone needs to hold over, pay some bills, whatever. We got each other's backs. Not everyone's got, endorsements. So if you got endorsements, maybe throw a little bit more compared to those who don't got any endorsements, And if every team in the league did that, then that could possibly impact and influence some actual change. This less than 24-hour, I can't even call it a full work stoppage. It's a blip. It made headlines, but it's not going to have any lasting impact. except for the headlines that happened. And I don't think they were prepared to actually do a boycott. And if that's what they think the definition of boycott is, they're sadly mistaken, and they need to take some history lessons again.
Yeah, I was just they need some organization for sure. I agree. And like I said, it's so disappointing because it's just like, well, all the naysayers and the ones who were like, who were like, oh, this is ridiculous, all that. You just proved them right. You
gave them more ammo.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, well, if it was so important, why are you playing now? Right? Why'd you give in less than 24 hours? If it's so serious, if you're so serious about this, how could you give in within 24 hours? Because
nothing's changed. I
haven't even heard they haven't released the so-called social justice plan.
Right.
The alternative.
Yeah. We don't know what that is.
I'm waiting to see what that is, because I can almost imagine it's going to be a joke.
Right.
Because I just don't see what they possibly could come up with, because they already got what they want, right? The owners and
the owners, they got their fulfillments to advertisers. They got their 60 games,
right?
Plus, so they got that money that they were fearing that they were going to lose. So they got that money,
and now they got you to play,
and they got you to
playoffs.
play. Yeah, they got you to play into the playoffs. Some completed the first round. So, and honestly, what I think would be, because of the situation, because of what we got going on with COVID-19 here, I think would even probably be more impactful than a boycott, because a boycott, people aren't seeing it. I think honestly something more impactful would have been actually to do a sit-in. They go out there, they're in their uniform, the referee, and no one knows what's going on. The referee throws the ball, jump ball, everybody sits down.
Yeah.
And they just sit. That's
what the WNBA was supposed to do.
They went out for warm-ups and then they just walked off.
Yeah, but originally they had said, because I was watching it on, I guess it was ESPN, and they had said they said they were going to take shot clock violations. They were going to take a knee after every shot or something like that. And like they had already planned to disrupt the game. And then somewhere along the line, I don't know who or how, but somewhere along the line they talked at all. But I remember hearing the commentators,
okay,
and the analysts, they were talking about it. They were talking about the Bucks game,
and
they were like, as right now, the WNBA is still going to play, and this is what we've been told that they're going to do, and they're not concerned about shot clock violations and different things like that. They're more concerned about sending a message about social justice and everything like that. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's different, and like you said, it definitely puts it in your face, as opposed to the out of mind approach of like, well, we haven't had NBA, we got a shortened season anyway, so I don't really care,
right?
Or we haven't had sports for the last 3 months anyway, so who cares?
But if you tune in for a game and all of a sudden all you see is
you see all this,
they're just sitting there, not moving,
right. And you see that for every game.
Yeah, every game is like
future.
They're just sitting there. They come out, they show up for work, and the game's going. I mean, the game is going. The clock's running. Right. They're there.
Yeah, and that I agree. That definitely has a bigger impact. And that was what they were supposed to do. At least that's what they said, or that's what what was released to the media.
And me, I'd have been a big. If I was one of them, I would just say, look, we're going to sit in, or we're going to show them what they would be seeing if we weren't playing. And I would have been like, all right, we're going to play like 1940 style. We're going to shoot a bunch of set shots. We're going to pass the ball around for forever until the last second for the shot clock. Nobody dunks. Nobody, we're gonna sit there and we're gonna run the 3-man weave and we're gonna run flex and we're gonna do the most basic of basic things. And
or even better, all the black players sit out and just let all the white players play.
oh, you can't even. Some of the teams came in man. They can't man the
That's
court.
my point.
Except for the Dallas Mavericks, they no one's gonna be able to put the team out there. Shoot.
That's my point. People gonna be like, what is this?
Right?
Where's the other half of the team? Oh, wait, they're all black.
They're all black, yeah. like Friday Night Lights when Smash got the brothers to walk off.
Right. That sends an impact.
Exactly.
That sends an impact.
So other people in the sports world decided to chime in response to these actions. Brian Urlacher, and if you don't know who Brian Urlacher is. He is a retired middle linebacker from the Chicago Bears. He posted on his Instagram some comments that were in disagreement to these actions. And look, if you disagree, you disagree. But if you're going to disagree, you should probably say something intelligent. Because Brian did not do that in this instance. Brian decided to equate the shooting of a man in the back to playing a football game and the boycotting in response to that to playing a football game after your father passes away as something of greater adversity. So this is what Brian said. Brett Favre played the Monday Night Football game the day his dad died, threw 4 touchdowns in the first half, and was a legend for playing in the face of adversity. NBA players boycott the playoffs because a dude reaching for a knife, wanted on a felony sexual assault warrant, was shot by police. So, Brett Favre, great player. I'm sure Brett Favre is like, why did you bring me up to begin with?
I was just relaxing at home.
Right? Like
my Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I'm sitting here in my Hall of Fame jacket,
and my, trophies and
right. Like Brett's like, why are you talking about me?
Millions.
So So he brings up Brett Favre, and that's facing adversity. Obviously, Brett Favre losing his father, sad, tragic. Nothing funny about that. However, Brett Favre's father was not shot. He wasn't murdered. No one burst into his home while he was on his couch eating ice cream and shot him. He wasn't sleeping in his home and was shot by police who raided the wrong home. He passed away, unfortunately. No one took his life from him. And his son did what he did best, and Brett has said before, the best way he processes his emotions is by playing the game he loves. So he went out and handled his business and himself the best way he could process his emotions by going out and playing football. And yes, beautiful story. It does not equate in any way, shape, form, or fashion to what the NBA players decided to do. Nor does the shooting, because he has not passed away. But in that particular instance in Wisconsin, that victim has not died. But from what I'm hearing reports, and I have not had the chance to confirm that, the latest reports are that he is paralyzed from the waist down. But, of course, Urlacher decides to divulge in hyperbole because there has been zero confirmation that he was reaching for a knife. Wanted on a felony sexual assault warrant. I have not seen any confirmation nor heard the police or anyone else confirm that either. However, we do know Brett Favre has had some sexual misconduct things. That was, major news when he was a New York Jet and sending unsolicited dick pics to Jets female staffers. So I don't think Brian thought that example through very well. He probably was just in a rush to think of a hero of his. And also, no one cares what Brian Urlacher thinks. No one's talking about Brian Urlacher. I think they recently, NFL had their greatest middle linebacker conversation. Brian Urlacher's name wasn't brought up. Chicago Bears fans ain't talking about Brian Urlacher. A lot of times a great player retires and fans pine after that player. I hear Eagles fans talk about how they wish Brian Dawkins was still around. Obviously we Lion fans always talk about we wish Barry was still playing because we would take a 50-year-old Barry over the running backs we have now. Like, great players get pined over. I don't hear any Bears fans talking about how much they miss Brian Urlacher.
Right.
Not relevant. Opinion's not relevant. He couldn't come with anything of any intelligence to say, and just wanted to make himself some noise. For what purpose? I don't even know. It's he's waste. Like, Brian, no one's talking about you. You're not even relevant in the game. Like, you're not commentating that anyone knows about. Your voice means very little right now.
Right.
And then we had another person chime in. This person's got a slightly stronger voice. Slightly stronger verse. He ain't rapping. Slightly stronger voice. Because he is currently an active coach in the NFL, and that is Bruce Arians, Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach. Mm-hmm. Bruce Arians stated, and I quote, "Protesting doesn't do crap, in my opinion. I've been seeing it since 1968.
Mm-hmm. So originally I was like, what? And apparently there was he issued another statement to clear up what he was saying.
What a surprise.
I know, right? It says, Bruce Arians talked with his players today about the recent events that have gone on. He is in support of players doing something, but it has to be something that will create change. Protesting doesn't do crap, in my opinion. I've been seeing that since 1967. And apparently,
knew it.
And you got hit with an ad again.
I did.
Apparently, someone did some research in his hometown.
Yes, he's from York, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't know what happened in York, Pennsylvania. But there was a race riot in York, PA in 1969.
Yes.
That was a culmination of events that had been going on from the long summer of 1967 and then into 1968, and then a very big riot in 1969. There had been very increased and intense racial tension in York pretty much since it got, because of this, during the civil rights, the height of the civil rights movement, racial tensions got really big in York around early 1960s, like 1962, 1963. And some of the reasons why, because, black citizens of York, PA were protesting police violence and discrimination. Right. What a surprise. So that clearing up, that's trash. Especially because he himself, no one asked him, no one, referenced any examples. He himself said, I've been seeing it since 1968. Yeah. So in those protests, it did something. Some of the results were unpleasant, those protests they resulted in change. Unfortunately, the people there, the white people of the town, violently resisted that change. So the protesting was not the problem. Is that the protesting did crap? Is that the response to the protest was filled with racist vitriol and violence? It's if you don't know what went down there, I encourage you to look it up. It's unfortunately it's a very tragic thing, and it's an event. Honestly, it's an event personally I wish never would have happened. But for Bruce Arians, being a teenager during that time frame, for him to make the statement that protesting doesn't do crap, that's just one, it's wrong, and it's just ignorant on top of it. Because he of all people, saw it firsthand. And this dude needs to say something other than that, whatever was tweeted out, because he might have just lost his locker room.
Yeah. I mean, you would think,
or he might just lose his job,
or both,
yeah.
You would think that after all of this, over the last several years, but especially over the last year, people will be smarter about the things and the comments that they say in these, whether it be tweets, press conferences, whatever, especially as a coach.
A coach in a league that is over 70% black.
Right. Because even if we give them the benefit of the doubt, you say, okay, I understand what you were trying to say.
Assuming positive intent.
Right. You got to know that was going to be misconstrued in so many different ways and twisted and turned. And then you got to look at what a lot of people don't think about is like a lot of these players are young, and so they don't think with that same lens that even you or I would think with, because especially the younger ones, they're in their 20s. I mean, especially football. On top of that, you're not gonna really get them past 30 or 40. So they're looking at things from a totally different perspective. And so when they see their white coach say something like, oh, that doesn't do crap, they're going to take that a lot more. They're going to take that to the heart more than you or I would, who can kind of look at that and say, we can look at his worldview, we can look at his framework, we can look at where he came from and our own personal experiences and say, okay, I don't agree, but at least I see where you're coming from. They're going to take it and they're just going to be straight angry and like you said, he's going to lose that locker room if he doesn't lose his job, because they're just going to like this. They're going to look at it as straight disrespect, slap in the face, and this guy doesn't like me. He doesn't trust me. I don't trust him. I don't all of that is going to go through their heads. And it reminds me, I'm thinking about it now as I'm thinking about it. I think it was season 2 of Last Chance U, or maybe season 3, when the coach yelled at the players. I don't know if you remember this, but they got into a fight or whatever. And the coach went in and he yelled at his players and he was like, if y'all want to go out there and act like thugs and whatever. And those kids lost it. They were like, F him. I'm never playing for this dude again. Like, they just went off. And like, that was in a different climate than we're in now. Right. You know what I mean? So like, you can imagine how much more intensified that would be, because, a lot of those same kids are the same age. And so you can imagine the tensions and the anger and the frustration and the mistrust and distrust and everything that these guys are going to have for him. now that he said that. You just got to pick your words better. If you didn't mean what you said, which he probably meant what he said. But if you want to go try and clean it up, you should have never said it in the first place. You know, you really should have thought that out. And just, you know, I don't know, man. Like I said, I think, because I mean we've seen protesting is effective.
Yes,
it is effective, and even over the last 24 hours, as we've been talking about the NBA, there was some impact, and there's been some impact with like the jerseys, with the Black Lives Matter on the court, with the players, you know, tweeting and you know.
And they're mentioning it during press conferences. They're wearing other things.
They're
the
wearing
hats, the shirts.
You know, they're wearing different things, shirts and different things during warm-ups to bring awareness. And it's working. I mean, it worked for Cap. You know, as much as everybody hated him, it worked.
Yeah,
he brought more awareness in that one season than anybody had brought to the subject in years. You know,
of years of doing other things, and because you know, people are like, well, why don't they go protest at City Hall? I'm like, we've never stopped protesting in City Halls.
Right,
that's never stopped. But you don't see that. You, the normal, regular person, you're not driving by City Hall and noticing that. Right. You're not watching the 6 o'clock news to see if they happen to mention, you know, a protest over a shooting at City Hall. You don't see that.
Right.
You know,
and most of the time, the news isn't even covering it unless, except for in these times. Like now, of course, they're covering it because it's going to sell. It's going to sell ads. It's you know, it's clickbait in a sense.
Well, not. I mean, honestly, the only reason it's being reported on now is because there is something to show because of technology, because everyone has a video camera on them pretty much with their phone, and people are capturing these things that before we couldn't capture when it was happening, you know, in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, when it was, you know, victim's word versus the cop's word, and people in the NAACP and other organizations would go and they would protest and they petition and etc. You know, the news would mention it, but it wouldn't. No one would take it seriously. Not no one, but you know, the majority of white America wasn't taking it seriously because, you know, they didn't see it, they didn't recognize it, they didn't believe it, whatever. You know, whatever was restricting their level of awareness. Yeah. But now with the level of technology, the advent of technology we're in right now they have something that they cannot see unless they just are willfully wanting to deny. And and we're seeing some of that, unfortunately, in many cases. But, you know, you cannot see what happened to George Floyd, you know. Yeah. And the same thing with what happened in Wisconsin. That would not be an uproar if it wasn't caught on video. Wasn't caught on video.
That's true.
People wouldn't have really heard about it, and it would have been another story like all the others that happened beforehand. You know. Yeah. But since Cap, you know, obviously we've had our discussions as far as all the steps Cap made. You know, things he did that we agreed with, things he didn't agree with. But since he made his stand, the general awareness has been heightened, and it's harder for those to openly ignore it. They, you know, and a lot of people are seeing what they hadn't seen before because of lack of exposure, you know, willful negligence, you know, or, you know, willful decide to ignore it or what have you, but they can't not see it anymore. And that is change, whether they want to admit it or not.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing that most people just don't want to admit it, right? Most people don't want to admit that there's a problem. Nobody wants to admit that. They, you know, sports is their escape. Sports is their their way to get away from everything, and so leave your politics out of my sports is kind
Is
of
what they say, but that's not even an accurate statement because
no, it's not.
Because there's plenty of politics that have been in sports, but it's more of not just even an escape. It's something that makes them feel good. So as long as it makes them feel good, then they're okay with it. So they felt good when the NFL started partnering with the armed forces and having all these patriotic ceremonies and stuff, which was something that did not happen when they were growing up as kids.
Right.
That did not happen in the 80s, did not happen in the 90s. It was relatively new. It's a post 9/11 thing. Like, it's all post 9/11 to have this bigger push on the patriotism within football. So let's not act like this is some big time honored tradition. National anthem played and stuff, but that wasn't even the entire NFL's history. But this whole hyper patriotism thing was not a thing prior to 9/11. So they were cool with that because it made them feel good. The moment something is not making them feel good, then it becomes a problem. And it's sad, but it's really just exposing who's going to ride with you and who's not going to ride with you. And when it comes to in the workplace, especially in sports, that's going to be a problem. It's a problem right now for TCU after Gary Patterson dropped the N-word on a player. They had players boycott practice, and who knows? And obviously, that's going to hurt his recruiting tremendously. And that's going to hurt their season. Who knows what effort or what players he will be able to have play for him, what players are going to want to transfer to different schools. Liberty University has already had a ton of players. One of their top recruits for basketball, women's basketball, was like, my recruiting's open again. I'm not going to Liberty. Like, this is going to have a big impact on a lot of schools, a lot of institutions, and this seems to be an era, especially within the sports world, where black folk are starting to say, you know what, my father, my grandfather, my uncles, my aunts, they put up with a certain level of racism in the locker room, but I'm not my grandfather, I'm not my father, I'm not my uncle. I'm not going to deal with that. I'm going to exercise the options that they had, the doors they opened. I'll go elsewhere. I'll go where I'm wanted.
Right. And it's so much easier to do that now.
Yes.
Than ever before. I mean, it's so easy now. There's so many other routes you can take. There's so many other things you can do. Like, the power is really in the player's hands, so it's these people, like the leaders and the coaches and just, owners, all that stuff, they just need to wake up and really see that it's bigger than whatever sport it is, number one. And also, like, stop seeing these players as just a commodity.
Right. Because they're people.
Yeah, they're not draft stock. As much as they treat them like draft stock, they're not draft stock. They're people. They're real people, real lives. They've grown up in real struggles. A lot of them, sports was their way out of the oppression and the poverty and everything that Black America faces. And so I'm glad to see that they're all, a lot of them anyway, are taking a stand, and they're trying to really push for change. But like I said, the only thing I'm really disappointed in was this whole 24-hour. I don't even know what to call it. Blip.
Yeah, it's a blip. It's a blip.
Yeah, I would have liked to just see, like, you know what? I would have liked to see what we saw just be the ripple to create the wave of, like, just mass exodus of African Americans, people of color, like just out of sports.
Well,
until real change happens.
Well, see, you say that, but honestly, that's going to be what I would like to see. Is I want to see a large scale stance from the 1968 games.
Right.
So if you don't know what happened in the 1968 games, let me paint the picture for you. Two American sprinters, John Carlos, Tommy Smith, are in the finals for the 100-meter dash. John Carlos is the favorite to win. Teammate Tommy Smith ends up winning. John Carlos comes in third. And in second place, an Australian named Peter Norman. Those are your three fastest men in the world. During the medal ceremony, while the national anthem was played, John Carlos, Tommy Smith, wearing their medals, both had on a black glove, raised their fists, and hung their heads in solidarity for the civil rights movement going on in the United States, as well as wearing pins on their lapels for human rights, as well as what they were doing is not only for support of the United States, but fighting apartheid in South Africa and representing just human rights and standing up for human rights for other people and oppressed people in the world, but primarily in the United States and in South Africa as two very big hot spots, for lack of a better term. Peter Norman, the Australian sprinter, actually had asked if he could have a glove and do the same. They did not have one, but he wore the human rights pin, and he stood in solidarity with his two competitors. Peter Norman is the greatest sprinter in Australian history. He went back to his country, was ostracized, is not regarded highly at all, and he has not actually gotten any decent regard until years after his death. There is a documentary. If you have not seen it, I encourage you to watch it. Peter Norman's, I believe it was his nephew that did the documentary. It's called Salute. It came out in, I want to say 2008. But that response is the type of response that needs to happen, where the athletes that are amongst their African American, their black teammates, people that they are a type of family with, if they stand also in solidarity, and not just the black players putting everything at risk, but the white players, the Asian players, those who do not have the same vested interest, also take a similar stand, like Peter Norman did.
Right.
Then sweeping change would happen. Because if there are players that they can fill roles in and they think they have a strong enough fan base to continue, they'll think they'll try to go replacement players. The product won't be the same. It won't be good in certain, especially basketball and football. But they would, they don't care. If they don't care, they're going to just keep on trucking along and they'll try to do what they can. But if no one is playing, or the vast majority is like, we're not going to play, and they won't have enough people to, fill those roles. And honestly, people were like, well, they could find anybody to play. They can find replacement players. Yeah, you can find replacement players. Can you find people willing to pay to see those replacement players? Because if they're pulling those players off the street, the owners aren't going to pay them millions of dollars. And you're not going to pay $60 a ticket and $10 for a hot dog and $50 for a jersey and $5 for a drink and $15 for parking to go see someone that came off the street play sports. You can go see them at the park for free. So that's the type of response that I would love to see. I would love to see the Peter Normans out there stand up alongside their modern day counterparts of Tommy Smith and John Carlos.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think something needs to be done. I think something definitely needs to be done, and I think I think it's gone beyond just kneeling for the national anthem. And I mean, that stuff is bringing awareness, but I think we need to go to the next level of, protests, right?
Yeah, and like we said earlier, we need something that's organized and effective. And unfortunately, we haven't gotten much of that, especially in this instance with the NBA.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, it's just it doesn't. It becomes, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like not complacency, but we're desensitized to it after a while, right?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
It was impactful when Cap was doing it,
especially because Cap put his career on the line.
Right?
I mean, obviously they're in contract, but football, you do something and they don't like, they can just cut you. It's not like basketball where they have to pay you. Right. So he jeopardized his career a bit.
Right.
And Tommy Smith, John Carlos, they should have come home Olympic heroes. They put everything on the line. And Peter Norman put everything on the line. We need people to put everything on the line, but obviously we want them to be strategic and have an end game. And I think that's the biggest thing missing from this, is that I don't think they have what their end game is, what their purpose, what they're trying to get out of the protests that they're trying to do here. And it wouldn't surprise me, because they were saying Michael Jordan was a voice of reason in that. It wouldn't surprise me if Michael Jordan was like, "Hey, I feel you, but what you're doing isn't, what you're saying and trying to do isn't going to help, because you don't have any end game, and you don't want to run out of money,
right?
Trying to search that end game." And so, hey, maybe we should just get through this, and then off season time, see what you're going to do, see what steps you're going to make, because, who knows what the next season would be, because who knows when it would even start? Would it be December? Would it be November? Like, who knows? Because we're already almost into September anyway, and they haven't had an off season. So, I understand, again, especially as an owner for him, it would be very important for them to talk to him and him talk to them and be like, "Hey, let's work through this together. Let's figure out what is the end game." And I'm pretty sure Mike, because we all know Mike is about winning. Mike is about accomplishing things. I'm sure Mike was like, "What is the end game to what you're doing here?" And they probably shrugged and like, "Oh, well, we're reacting out of reaction and not thinking out how our reaction should be.
We don't know what to do. We just want to do something."
Right. And sometimes we need to slow down and make our reactions deliberate and take our time. And that's what really needs to happen here, is if whatever action they're going to take. And because I'm for them playing if they want to play, because I really don't think, unless it's going to have an impact, unless they have a design plan. So play if they're going to play. Don't play if you're not going to play, but make a decision and have an end game,
Right.
And leave it at that.
Right. Yeah, they definitely need a plan, and they need somebody to organize them as a whole. Like they just need everybody to step up and say, and band together, so that they can, just move. Like I said, move on to the next step and become, have a bigger impact.
Oh, exactly.
Maybe actually see some real change. I mean, who knows? Maybe we might see out of this, whatever this conversation, this meeting, whatever came out of that, we might see something good come out of it. But
yeah,
I'm doubtful. I'm not optimistic about it at all. I feel like they probably just gave him a little bit of stuff to say, yeah, we got your back. Now go out there and play ball. Like,
I hope not. And honestly, also, this is the worst. This is the worst time for. But this is also the worst time for them for this to happen, because they're in Orlando, they're in the bubble. It would be one thing if Milwaukee was in Milwaukee, the Bucks were playing in Milwaukee for this first round, and they were like, you know what, we're going to boycott because we have a shot to win the NBA championship. And this year, unlike most years, who can imagine what a championship parade would look like, with social distancing? You know what I'm saying? Like, what would that look like? And there's the money that a city makes just during a parade day is astronomical. So
that's true.
If they were in normal conditions, these boycotts, again, if it were planned, could have even greater effect because the city is really seeing how much they're losing and what impact it's having. Being that it's going to be in Orlando in this bubble, the impact is not so hard because they know they're not going to have their parade, regardless of what city is going to win. They know they're not going to have those ticket sales in those parking sales. They know they're not getting that money regardless because everything's happening in the bubble. So, it would definitely, it's tough to have that being an underlying factor as far as what impact they could have, which is why, in my opinion, they shouldn't have stopped playing. They should just been playing the long game and say, we're going to finish this season and we're going to talk it out amongst ourselves in the off season and decide if we're even going to play next season, because that's the time where financial impact would really be felt upon these cities, these mayors who have to start answering to city council. They can't meet budgets because they were expecting X amount of millions of dollars to come from the Milwaukee Bucks, to come from the Los Angeles Lakers, to come from the Detroit Pistons and the New York Knicks, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that was a mouthful. Sorry.
Yeah. No, but you're right. I think, but like I said, I don't know. I guess I'm a little jaded.
That's because you're finally getting old like me. You're starting to get jaded, bro.
Old and crotchety.
Yeah, Dad now starting to become an old man. Yeah, welcome to the old man club. Well, Jeeks, it's been like 2+ hours and a lot of loaded topics, so we are going to end this episode for right now.
It has been 2 hours.
I don't think we can elaborate anymore on, especially on our main topic. So that is going to be it for this episode of the Original Jeek podcast. We are honored and blessed to impact your earballs with what we have to say. So as we sign off, I am your host, ROCKINMRMAGIC. He is
UNIQDNA, and we want to thank you for listening, but we couldn't possibly do all this without you. So please rate, review the show on the podcasting app of your choice. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and a bunch of other ones that I can't think of right now.
CastBox, we out there.
Yeah, and if you can't find us on any of those, shoot us an email at jeeknation@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail on Anchor. It's anchor.fm /the-original-Jeek-podcast. And you will find us. Leave us a voice message. If you can't find us, leave us a voice message if you have a question or a topic you want us to talk about on the Original Jeek podcast. You can also find us on Facebook at Jeek Nation, Twitter at Jeek Nation, Twitch at Jeek Nation. There's a pattern if you could not see. It's all at Jeek Nation. Did you say YouTube? YouTube.
Well, okay, so YouTube, we need 12 more, y'all. No, we need 18 more, y'all, to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we can get a custom YouTube URL that then you can find us at youtube.com/Jeek Nation. Because right now we got that jumble of letters and numbers that looks goofy, and we don't like that. We would like to have that vanity YouTube URL. And trust me, it is worth subscribing to our YouTube channel, because not only can you listen to episodes of the Original Jeek podcast on our YouTube channel, but you can see our past episodes of Trailer Talk, which hopefully I can bring back, and you can see some of the fun randomness videos we've made. We've got a couple top 10 list videos and other content for you to consume, and there will be new content coming there as we are working on our rewatch shows and some special things that we have not announced yet that are coming on the pipeline. So help us out with that. And if you're on any of those socials, please give us a follow. We really, really appreciate it. Helps us continue to reach other Jeeks like you, helps us continue to make dope content like this, and give us more opportunities to engage with you all. So until next time, peace.
Ready to make an entrance, so backwards cut. Come on, cut for me.
Oh yeah. Whoa, slow down. Whoa, speed up.
This is DJ What, and you're listening to the original Jeek podcast.